Hello, it's Melissa here, and today I'm showing you a video that I've made for Artful Crafts using the Kaisercraft All That Glitters collection. And what I'm scrapbooking here is what I would call an intimidating photo. And the reason this photo is so intimidating is because it's an enlarged photo, it's a professional photo, and it's of my daughter when she was a flower girl for a friend last November. And the reason that it's intimidating is because it is so beautiful and it's bigger than what I'm used to scrapbooking. However, I didn't want to not scrapbook the photo just because I was afraid to scrap it, so I decided to just take the plunge, go with only using one piece of pattern paper, which is that paper at the top, and really look at just clustering some embellishments around it. So here you can see some photos that I've been storing on top of my sewing machine, but all I'm doing here is just stitching down that paper at the top, and that just provides, well, twofold really. It holds it in place and it also provides a bit of texture. So that branding strip at the bottom is the bottom of that paper, and it says on it, add a little glitter to your life and enjoy the sparkle. And I thought that went really well with this photo. Now, putting my adhesive in the middle, and that will enable me to tuck some bits and pieces underneath the photo. So at this point, because the photo is so big, rather than just eyeballing the position, I wanted to make sure it was straight. So I got my mat out, and it's got measurements in inches along the sides, and all four sides actually. But to make sure I get it absolutely correct, I've got my ruler out. And now I want to make sure it looks balanced. So right there it's not balanced, the photo's too far down. So now I'm just working out where to place it, pushing it up. And I have a bit of problem here because to me it looks uneven, and I can see that on the video now, but I'll measure it and it actually is correct. So I'm not sure why it looks like that, but I carry on anyway. So each month Liz or one of the other girls at the shop, they're amazing. They put together these embellishment packs which include die cuts and bits and pieces from the actual collection, but also things that aren't from the collection that coordinate, like this beautiful doily. So I definitely wanted to get that down because it pulls out the green or teal colours in that pattern paper. This is a little tissue flower, and I think they're made for layering and building flowers, but I'm just using a single one on its own. I'd actually played around with the placement before I started filming, so I took a photo with my iPhone, and that's a really good idea when if you're happy with something and you don't want to forget it. So I'm just adding, that's a little collectible. So Kaisercraft puts out packs of collectibles that go with all their collections, and they are beautiful. That there is a Studio Calico gold label. So if you watch my videos for a while, you know that I have bits and pieces on my desk that I want to use up. So whenever I find something that's going to work, my aim is to get it onto the page. That butterfly also comes with the collection, and it's like a mix between craft and gold. So it works with the gold fake splatters on that paper, that background paper. I'm not big at using flowers, but when I can, I will try and get them on the page. So I thought this one worked really well because she's a flower girl, and just a little bit of pink to make it girly. So that's another little collectible die cut which says sweet. So I'm just layering it on the corner of the photo. And I've got a single pink kind of pearl braid, and I just want to get it in there because I think it adds a little bit of sparkle. So now I'm deciding how much more I want to add, and at this point I'm still convinced it's crooked, but I've decided I'm just going to go with it. It'll actually do more damage if I lift up that photo. And then I realised that I wanted to use a border sticker and I'd forgotten, so I want to make do, and actually it's probably quite thrifty because I can say, rather than use the whole 12 by 12 and have most of it not show, I'm just going to trim it, tuck it underneath the photo and underneath the paper to look like it actually continues underneath anyway. So it took a bit of fiddling, especially on this side, but I'll get there eventually. And it's made more difficult because I've stitched quite close to the edge. So I'm just tucking it under, and I want to make sure that I'm cutting through the middle of a triangle to be even with the other side. Okay, so that's another collectible piece, and that says "This life is pretty amazing," and I'm layering that with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals, and I'm just going to pop it below the flower, and that just adds a bit more dimension to the page. At this point I thought I would be using the arrow, but really doesn't go with the page. Now these acetate letters are from Heidi Swap, and so they're nothing to do with this collection, but they work really, really well with the teal shade in the paper and with the doily. So I'm not going to show you how I glue all of them on, but I found that the best way to get these down if you're not going to staple them or stitch them is to use glossy accents, and I'm sure most of you know that glossy accents can be quite a pain because it gets clogged all the time, but once you push through and deal with the problem of the clogged nozzle, it's a really good adhesive because it doesn't show once you're finished. So I did consider stapling them, but I thought no, it'd be a bit too much. This page is very feminine and quite soft in detailing, and so if I'm going to add staples, I think it's just going to be a bit too much. So I'm just showing you there, I've glued them down, and then I always put something on to hold them down, so I've just used my stamp block and my adhesive. These, they're like enamel dots, but they glitter. They're from SEI, and they came in a Studio Calico kit, and a friend who doesn't like gold, she gives me a lot of her gold embellishments, so I thought they worked perfectly with this layout as well. So that's the finished layout, and here I've got a couple more, several more photos that I've done in Project Lifestyle.